My beloved child, just be still for a moment. Listen, you didn't come here by chance. You didn't just stumble upon this. This isn't another random post scrolling by. This is an appointment, a divine meeting. This is me, your Father, the one who knew you and formed you before the world even began, speaking directly to your heart. There's a shift happening, a stirring in the heavens, and I am gently, but firmly, pressing my hand on your heart. You've been walking through so much noise, haven't you? Searching for a clear sign, asking me in the quiet moments, what's next? And when will you finally show me, Lord? This is it. This is that moment. This is my answer, and I need you to hear it with every part of your being. There is a time for all things, and the time for silence is now over. Not because I was ever gone, but because this is the moment. This is the right moment. I have seen you longing for answers. I've seen your desperate waiting. I've heard your silent whispers in the middle of the night asking, God, where are you? And even when the heavens felt like brass, my heart has never, ever stopped beating for you. I held some things back, it's true. Not because I don't care, but because the perfect time had not yet come. But now, the heavens are bending low, and I am speaking directly to the very center of who you are. I waited because I was preparing you. I was aligning things. I was molding you into the person who could not just receive what's next, but who could carry it with true strength and grace. I kept these words close because I knew that once they were released, your world would begin to shift, and quickly. This isn't just a message. This is a dividing line. This is the moment that will split your life into the before and the after. I am opening the scroll of my plan for your journey, and from this day forward, nothing will be the same. You've been asking me to speak. Now I will, with a love that holds you, an authority that frees you, and a truth that cuts deeper than any fear or doubt that has ever tried to take root in your soul. I've heard every single cry for confirmation, every quiet prayer where you said, Lord, just give me one sign. I didn't miss a single one. I didn't turn my face away when you had questions. In fact, I drew even closer. But clarity doesn't always show up the way you expect. It isn't always a lightning bolt or a dramatic event. Sometimes it comes softly, wrapped in my voice, delivered in a quiet moment just like this. Right now, as you hear these words, something deep inside of you knows. This is more than just a video. This is me. This is heaven answering your deepest questions. I am not a God of confusion. I am the God of peace and revelation. When I speak, chains have no choice but to break. When I move, everything aligns. I don't deal in half answers or cloudy messages. I bring a clarity that cuts right through uncertainty. You asked for a sign. This is your sign. You wanted to know if you were on the right path. I am guiding your feet. You asked, should I wait or move? And I say, now move with me. You asked, should I hold on or let go? And I say, let go of what I never gave you and hold on tight to me. Let this settle deep in your spirit. This moment wasn't created by man, it was created by me. And I have waited for this exact time to respond to you. Not a second too soon and not a second too late. This is my final answer. It is sealed in love, soaked in perfect timing, and delivered straight to your heart. There's no more room for delay. The season that required patience has now transitioned into a season that requires obedience. I gave you time to wait, time to seek, time to ask. But that time is now finished. You no longer have to wonder where I stand or what I want for you. I am raising my voice now, not in anger, but in a love that is so strong it refuses to let you miss what I've prepared. I'm no longer tucking my will behind subtle hints or quiet nudges. I am standing right in front of you, speaking clearly, firmly, and directly, because your destiny cannot afford another moment of doubt. The battles you faced, the tests you went through, the confusion that tried to cloud your mind, none of it was wasted. But now I am drawing a clear line. You must choose. Will you follow where I lead without needing more confirmation? Without asking for one more sign? I've already shown you what you need to see. I've already whispered enough to stir your spirit. Now I am declaring it so clearly you cannot miss it. It's time to rise. It's time to trust me with your actions, not just with your good intentions. My voice won't compete with the noise around you. It will rise above it. You don't need to second guess every voice anymore. You know the sound of my spirit. You've learned to hear me in your suffering. And now I am commissioning you. No more waiting rooms. No more paused dreams. No more maybe laters. I'm not asking you to have it all figured out. I am simply asking you to follow what I have already spoken, without compromise and without delay. I am not whispering anymore. I am speaking with purpose, and you are the one I am calling. I know you've wondered why things took so long. You've questioned the pauses, the stillness, the long stretches of waiting. You've looked at others as they seemed to race ahead, while you sat with open hands and a quiet soul, asking me, why are you so silent when I am so desperate? But child, what you saw as a delay, I was using as design. You were never being denied. You were being prepared. Every prayer that seemed to hang unanswered in the air was actually being carried right into my presence, where I was arranging things far beyond your understanding. I didn't forget your voice. I was framing your future. While you were standing still, I was moving mountains that would have crushed you if you had walked out too soon. While you wept, feeling all alone, I was clearing out traps that would have hurt you if you had stepped forward in your own timing. The wait was never a punishment. It was protection. You thought I was wasting time, but I was redeeming it. You thought I was holding you back, but I was holding you together. You thought I wasn't listening, but I was listening more intently than you can even imagine. I allowed you to feel the ache so you would learn to trust me beyond your feelings. I allowed the silence to stretch so your faith would have room to grow. The long nights, the dry seasons, the moments you felt hopeless, they were all bricks in the foundation I was building under you. Without them, what's coming next couldn't stand. But now, that foundation is strong enough. It's strong enough to carry what I'm about to place on it. Every delay has done its job. Every silence has served its purpose. Every moment you thought was empty was actually full of me, working for you. And now the silence breaks. The waiting ends. The fog clears. All of it led to this single moment where I unveil my final decision. A decision crafted in eternity, shaped by my grace and stamped with your name. You have to know that nothing about your journey escaped my attention. Not one single moment passed by without me seeing. Every time you wept quietly behind a closed door, I was there. I collected every tear as a treasure because your pain matters to me more than you can possibly comprehend. When you chose to stay faithful, even when everything inside you felt like it was breaking, I took note. I recorded the strength it took for you to just get out of bed, to smile through the ache, to worship when you didn't have the answers. The nights you stayed awake, asking me questions I didn't answer right away. They weren't wasted. They became sacred pages in the story of your life. And every sacrifice you made, the ones nobody clapped for, the ones that cost you your comfort, your peace, or your reputation, I counted every single one. They were seeds, my child, not losses. You thought they just disappeared into the ground, but I have been watering them with my presence ever since. Not one act of obedience was overlooked. Not one decision to choose me over the easy path went unseen. I watched you give when you had very little. I watched you love when you weren't loved back. I watched you believe when belief itself felt fragile. And I never let any of that fall to the ground. I was building something eternal out of every quiet offering. While others may have judged you by what they saw on the outside, I was looking at your heart. I saw your motives. I saw the purity of your intentions. And now, my decision is shaped by that sacred history. By all those moments when you just walked with me in quiet surrender, when there was no spotlight, no applause, and no assurance. I saw you. I still see you. You've been looking for proof that what you gave mattered. And I'm here to tell you that it mattered more than anything. This decision I'm releasing. It isn't based on your public image or your popularity. It's based on intimacy. I know you. I've seen your character tested in the fire. I've watched your soul wrestle. And I've seen you cling to me when letting go would have been so much easier. My choice is rooted in that quiet, unseen courage. So when you receive what's coming, don't you dare call it luck. Don't credit it to fate. Don't even just call it a breakthrough. Call it recognition. Call it the fulfillment of what I saw when nobody else was looking. You were faithful in the fire. And now I am declaring that the fire refined you. It did not destroy you. The promotion that is coming isn't from the world. It is from my hand. You didn't manufacture this by striving. It was born from your surrender. My final decision is wrapped in every moment you stayed true. Every time you chose humility when you could have demanded to be seen. Every time you forgave when bitterness was knocking at your door. I've weighed it all, and now the scales are tipping in your favor. Not because of what you've gained, but because of how you endured. There were moments when the shadows felt like they were closing in, when panic came knocking louder than peace, and the weight of what if nearly crushed your hope. But in those very moments, I saw you reach for me. Not because it was easy, not because you had all the answers, but because something deep inside you still believed that I was enough. I saw how fear tried to wrap itself around your thoughts like chains, whispering lies about your future, about your worth, about your ability to make it. But instead of giving in, you lifted your trembling prayers. Your voice may have been weak, but your trust was loud in heaven. The battlefield wasn't always visible to others, but I was there. I was watching the war inside your heart, the one between despair and belief. You didn't know it then, but those quiet victories where you chose to trust me despite your terror shifted things in the spiritual realm. Your faith, even when it felt as small as a mustard seed, was more powerful than you ever realized. I never asked you to be fearless. I only asked you to turn toward me when fear came. And you did. You did it again and again. In rooms where you sat all alone, in car rides with tears in your eyes, in silent moments where you just said, God, I don't understand, but I still choose you. Those moments shook the heavens. You didn't know that angels were sent every time you said my name instead of giving in to the anxiety. You didn't know that when you chose to keep going, Even with a trembling heart, you were walking in victory. I watched how you silenced the chaos in your mind by worshiping me in whispers. I saw how you pulled my promises into your memory like a lifeline, even when everything around you contradicted what I had said. And because of that, I want you to hear this. I was so proud of you then. Not because you were perfect, but because you were persistent. The strength you showed in believing me when fear was screaming, that is what moves my heart. That is what drew me closer. You fought for peace in the middle of a mental storm. You took hold of my promises like a sword and refused to let go, even when it looked like nothing was changing. That kind of trust is rare, and I do not take it lightly. My decision today is shaped by how you kept saying yes to me when fear gave you 1,000 reasons to say no. You haven't earned this, but you have proven your trust. You held on to me when it made no sense. So now, I am holding open doors that once seemed sealed shut. I am bringing answers where there was confusion and calm where there was chaos. You don't have to fight to prove yourself anymore. I've already seen what I needed to see. You chose me in the middle of the storm. And now I am walking you into the stillness. Not because the enemy gave up, but because I said, that's enough. This is your reward. Not for perfection, but for perseverance. I saw how fear tried to write the end of your story, but you placed the pen back in my hands. And now, watch what I do with your trust. When the winds howled and the ground beneath you trembled, you could have run. You could have broken under the weight of the pressure, the fear, and the discouragement. Everything around you told you to abandon your post, to flee, to hide, to give up on what I had promised. The voices of doubt got louder. Circumstances tried to drown you in confusion. Chaos pressed against your peace like a relentless wave. But you didn't collapse, you didn't compromise. You planted your feet in faith and you refused to retreat. I watched you endure days where nothing seemed certain, yet you chose to remain rooted in me. You didn't chase temporary relief. Instead, you waited on me to calm the storm. You could have forced open doors in your own strength, but instead, you surrendered the timeline to me. That kind of restraint, that holy endurance in the face of pressure, is no small thing. I saw it, I honored it, and I am building my next move on top of it. You may not have realized it, but every time you stood when it would have been easier to fall, you were testifying to the unseen world about who I am. Your refusal to move outside of my will became an act of worship. Your stillness in the middle of uncertainty was louder than 1,000 songs. While others scrambled for answers, you chose to trust my silence. That is not weakness. That is spiritual maturity. You stopped demanding signs and you started anchoring yourself in my character. You learned that I am not just the God who delivers, but the God who sustains. You proved that you weren't just seeking a result, you were seeking me. And that seeking, that steadfastness, even when you were so weary, became your offering. I have built new things out of less, because standing still isn't passive, it's warfare. It's declaring, I will not be moved, when everything in the natural world says you should fall apart. And now, because you stood firm, I am releasing things that can only be given to someone who won't waver. I needed to see if you could be trusted to wait when the clock was ticking and the answers felt so distant. And you passed that test, not with perfect grace, but with unwavering commitment. You chose stillness over panic, worship over worry, trust over turmoil. That is where transformation happens. Not in the easy moments, but in that sacred standoff between fear and faith. Now I say to you, because you stood still, I'm going to move on your behalf. You don't need to fight for what is already yours. You don't need to chase down what I have already set in motion. Stand still just a little longer and watch the winds change direction. Watch how the very storm that tried to knock you down will become the testimony that lifts you up. You stood still, and now I stand with you. There was a night, wasn't there? A night where everything inside you just screamed for release from the weight you were carrying. The kind of night when the world felt like it had turned its back and all the voices faded, leaving you all alone with your thoughts and with me. I remember that moment, not vaguely, not from a distance. I remember it with holy detail. I saw the heaviness pressing on your chest, the hopelessness curling around your thoughts, the ache that made even breathing feel like a burden. I watched as you sat there, wrestling between surrendering to the darkness or reaching for my hand, even if it felt invisible. And in that sacred space where you could have quit, you did something that heaven will never forget. You held on. Not because you saw a light at the end of the tunnel, but because something deep inside you whispered, "Don't let go of him." And you didn't. Your grip, though it felt weak, though it was desperate, it was everything. I saw your soul trembling, your heart pounding with questions that had no answers. But you still chose to lean into me when letting go seemed so much easier. You didn't shout in faith that night. You didn't prophesy your future. You just held on to the last thread of me that you could feel. And that was enough. That moment, child, was more powerful than you understand. All of heaven paused. The angels stood still. Because what you did was more than survival. It was surrender. It was raw, broken trust. The kind of trust that doesn't come from perfect theology or spiritual high points, but from a real relationship forged in the fire of real life. You didn't have the strength to stand, but you didn't walk away either. That night marked something eternal between us. You thought it was your moment of weakness, but I saw it as the purest form of love. Because you chose me when you could have chosen silence. You stayed connected, even if all you had was a whisper and a tear. And now, I carry that memory in my heart. It speaks louder than your loudest praise. That night, when you almost let go, you proved something you still don't fully grasp. Your roots in me run deeper than any storm that tries to uproot you. I use that moment as a reference point. Not to shame you, but to remind you how brave you truly are. You didn't need applause or visible proof to keep believing. You just needed me. And even in the silence, I was there. That night, I sent angels to surround you. I hovered over you with a protective love. You didn't feel me, but I was nearer than your own breath. That moment matters to me. I measure your endurance not by how loud your faith sounds in victory, but by how sincerely you trust me when you feel like you're falling apart. And you trusted me, even if your grip was shaking. That is why my decision now includes the restoration of what you lost in those dark hours. I am returning strength where it was drained. I am replacing the weight you carried with blessings you didn't even expect. You may not have shouted through the storm, but you survived it. With me. And now I'm turning the page. The night you nearly gave up will not be the end of your story. It will be the foundation for the glory I am about to reveal in your life. While your heart wandered through the shadows and your thoughts fought battles beneath your smile, I never once stepped away. In those long, wordless stretches of time, when it seemed like heaven was far away, when your prayers felt like they just dissolved into the ceiling, when your soul was begging for just a whisper and received none. I was right there. I did not leave you to figure it out alone. I walked beside you. I matched your steps, even when your strength barely carried you. You looked around for signs, for feelings, for anything that might remind you I was close. And when you felt nothing, the enemy tried to convince you that you had been abandoned. But child, I was there in every breath you didn't notice, in every tear that fell for no reason, in every moment you sat in silence, too tired to even ask again. You thought I was distant, but I was never more attentive than in those still, quiet hours. I surrounded you when you didn't know it. I spoke to your spirit in ways your ears couldn't hear, sustaining you without any fanfare or spectacle. You didn't realize that the peace that kept slipping into your heart despite all the pressure, that inner calm that kept you from completely breaking, that was me, holding you up from the inside. You assumed I was waiting for you to figure it all out, but really, I was carrying the weight you couldn't even put into words. I became your unseen shelter, your invisible defense, your quiet protector. The reason you are still standing isn't because of your strength, it is because of my nearness. I never required you to feel me in order for me to be there. I am not limited by your feelings or by sounds. I am with you whether you feel me or not. Your spirit knew I was there, even when your mind could not. In the silence, I wasn't punishing you. I was teaching you to trust me beyond your senses. I was building a connection that wasn't dependent on outcomes or voices. I wanted you to know me, not just as the miracle worker or the promise giver, but as the God who sits with you in your silence and does not leave. I needed you to experience my presence, not through a spectacle, but through subtlety. Because the kind of relationship I am forming with you doesn't shift with your emotions. It is rooted in truth. And the truth is, I was closer than the air you breathe in those quiet nights. I heard every word you didn't say. I caught the prayers you never got to finish. I understood the sighs you released into the darkness. And I responded. Not with loud answers, but with preservation. You see, there are battles you never had to face because I blocked them before they ever reached you. There are burdens you never had to carry because I absorbed them without announcing it. I did speak in those moments, just not with words. I was acting on your behalf. I was tending to your soul in places no one else could ever reach. What you call silence, I call sacred work. You weren't forgotten. You were being fortified. You weren't lost. You were being hidden in me. I have been with you every single step, not just when things felt holy, but when they felt hopeless. And now, because you endured the silence with me, I am bringing you into a season where my voice will be unmistakable, where my hand will be visible, where my presence will not just be known, but undeniably felt. The time of quiet shaping is over. It is giving way to revealed glory. You didn't walk alone. You never did. And now I will make known what I have been forming in secret, right beside you all along. Type yes. If you are ready for the blessings that you are about to receive. And if you believe in Christianity, kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. Every scattered piece of your journey, the heartbreaks, the detours, the unexplainable delays, the people who came and went, the opportunities that dissolved, the doors that slammed shut without any warning. None of it escaped my careful orchestration. While you wondered if your life was just falling apart, I was quietly gathering every single fragment. I was not absent. I was arranging. I was not passive. I was active in ways too deep for you to see at the time. My silence wasn't me pulling away. It was my strategy. I was forming something eternal from the very moments that made you feel like everything was unraveling. You thought you were being forgotten, but really, I was building something in the background. So intricate, so intentional, that only time could reveal its beauty. Your story has always mattered to me, not just the victories, but the breaking points. I collected the disappointments, and I laid them like bricks, one by one, shaping a foundation, not of failure, but of your future. Every unanswered prayer wasn't a no, it was a not yet, or a I have something better. Every path that seemed to lead nowhere was a carefully placed step toward something greater than you ever imagined. I didn't give you everything you asked for, not because I wanted to deprive you, but because I wanted to give you more than you even knew to ask for. And while it looked like nothing was working, I was carefully fitting every shattered piece into the masterpiece I had in mind from the beginning. I saw what you couldn't. I saw how the pain from one season would become the preparation for the next. I knew how the delay in one area would protect you from a greater danger up ahead. I recognized which relationships had to end, so you wouldn't be tied to people who couldn't carry the weight of where I am taking you. You didn't understand why things kept slipping through your hands, but I was never letting them fall. I was removing what could not remain. I have never been careless with your life. Every experience, every moment of confusion, every no you received, every place where you were forced to start over, I allowed it only because I was preparing something so perfectly aligned that even you will stand in awe when it unfolds. I was never just watching from afar. I was actively gathering what the enemy tried to scatter. I was piecing together your purpose behind the scenes, taking what others threw away and weaving it into something holy. You wanted quick answers, but I was building an unshakable character. You wanted resolution, but I was crafting transformation. And now the season of collecting, arranging, and restoring is reaching its fullness. My decision is not based on a single moment. It is built on everything I have gathered along the way. I took into account your perseverance, your resilience, your quiet loyalty when it seemed like you had no reason to keep believing. I included the things you thought were forgotten. I counted the moments you chose me when it cost you something, and I wove it all together into this moment. This final decision. You didn't miss anything. What was yours, I preserved. What was needed, I retrieved. What was broken, I mended in my own way. And now I am ready to unfold what has been hidden. The chapter that comes next is not the beginning of your story. It's the unveiling of what I have been preparing from the very first word. Trust me when I say, nothing was wasted. Every piece is now in my hands, and I do not make mistakes. What I am about to release will make sense of what never did before. You've looked at your life and wondered why certain paths twisted in ways you didn't expect, why some chapters closed without a warning, and why the answers you longed for seemed to arrive on unfamiliar roads. But child, nothing I allow or deny happens by accident. I do not roll dice with your future. I don't guess. I don't experiment, and I do not operate in the chaos of human whims. My choices for you are not reactions. They are revelations. They come from a depth of knowledge far beyond what you can see. woven into the fabric of eternity before time even began. My love isn't seasonal. It isn't fickle. It doesn't shift based on your performance, your mood, or your circumstances. Every move I make in your life has already passed through the filter of my perfect wisdom and my endless compassion. Before you ever spoke your first word, I had already spoken over your destiny. I've seen every possibility, every outcome, every ripple your decisions could cause. And still, I chose you. Still, I placed my purpose inside of you. Still, I made a plan, not just to use your strengths, but to redeem every one of your weaknesses. And now you are standing in a sacred moment. One not shaped by chance, but by careful, loving orchestration. I have looked across all of eternity, and I have selected this very time to bring clarity into your life. I don't work with confusion. I work with precision. I don't act out of pressure. I move from an eternal perspective. So when I say this is my final decision, I mean it. It is the outcome of everything I have weighed through the lens of my unchanging truth. You've been tempted to believe that life is random, that blessings come and go without meaning, that hardships are just pointless. But I am the God of order, not disorder. I am not building your life in pieces. I am unfolding it in a divine sequence. You might not see the patterns yet, but I promise you they are there. I have layered every joy, every trial, every connection, and every loss with my intention. I have aligned people to meet you at just the right time. I have closed doors you begged me to open because I saw the pain they would bring. I've opened windows when you thought you were sealed in darkness. All of it is part of something more eternal than just this moment. And that is what I need you to trust. My love is not just emotional. It's strategic. It doesn't just feel, it foresees. That's why I chose to wait on certain blessings until your spirit was ready to carry them without collapsing. That's why I allowed the refining when you were asking for relief, because I was growing something deeper inside you than you were even aware of. Now the time has come for you to understand. What is happening in your life next is not some random act of kindness. It is the visible expression of my eternal love for you. It's the moment when what I have decided in heaven is revealed on earth. I know the way forward, and it's a path I have personally designed for you, not one I've improvised. You don't need to second guess anymore. You don't need to ask if I'm sure. I have already seen the end from the beginning, and I am walking you toward it with deliberate, unwavering love. You may not always understand my timing or my methods, but you can always trust my heart. My heart for you never changes. It never will. You were loved before you could earn it. You were chosen before you ever knew me. And now you are being positioned to live out what I have always seen in you. This decision is not random. It is the revelation of a love that spans all of time. While people around you looked only at the surface, I searched deeper. They saw your actions, but I saw your intentions. They made up their minds based on what they could see, but I examined the hidden reasons behind your choices, the ones too complex for words, too private to share. I knew when your heart was heavy, even as you put on a brave face. I saw when you served others out of pure devotion, not for praise. And I noticed when you loved, expecting nothing in return. Many around you were quick to judge what they could not understand. Some assumed they knew your story. Others misunderstood your silence. Some even questioned your loyalty when they saw you step away to protect the peace I gave you. But I knew what was really driving you. I knew the nights you cried after forgiving someone who never even said they were sorry. I knew the courage it took to walk away from something you once prayed for because you realized it no longer carried my blessing. I saw the way you resisted the urge to fight back, choosing grace when you could have chosen retaliation. These moments, they didn't look grand on the outside, but to me they were monumental. They told me everything I needed to know about your heart. Your character was proven, not on a stage, but in the stillness, in the restraint. The world may not have given you the credit you deserved, but I was taking notes in heaven. You've often wondered, does it even matter if no one sees? And I am telling you now, it matters more than you know. Because every unseen decision you made to honor me in private will soon manifest as public favor. I knew when you were taken for granted. I saw when your loyalty was met with betrayal, when your kindness was mistaken for weakness, and when your silence was seen as guilt. But I also knew the integrity behind your quiet choices. I understood the long internal battles you fought to keep your heart pure when bitterness wanted to settle in. I saw when you extended grace, even when your own soul was aching. And all of that, every unseen motive shaped by righteousness, has not gone unnoticed. My final decision is not influenced by public opinion or the misunderstandings of others. I don't weigh your future in the court of human approval. I weigh it against your obedience, your sincerity, your willingness to be faithful when no applause followed. I am not moved by how things look. I am moved by the posture of your heart. And yours has bent toward me, again and again, even when the pressure to please others was so strong. Now I am stepping in as your defender. I will bring to light what others refuse to see. I will vindicate you. This is not for revenge. This is for validation. Validation of what I always knew about you. No longer will you have to carry the burden of being misjudged. I am lifting that weight, and I am declaring over you, I see clearly, and my vision never fails. What I am about to release will be undeniable. It will be the evidence that you were always in the right place, with the right heart, even when others didn't acknowledge it. I saw the sacrifice behind your silence. I saw the strength in your restraint. I saw the honor in your humility. And now, I am ready to honor you in return. Not because you demanded it, but because you trusted me to do it in my way. My final decision is shaped by what only I could see. And it will answer questions you never thought would be resolved. You may have wondered why the pressure was so relentless, why the trials seemed to come one after another, like waves, with no break. You asked me why I allowed the heat to be turned up, why I didn't step in sooner, why I let the fire surround you when you were already so weary. But now, you must understand. What looked like punishment was actually the process of revealing what I had placed within you from the very beginning. I never set out to destroy you. I already knew your strength. I knew the resilience I planted inside you. I knew the faith that would rise up when everything else fell away. I knew the quiet defiance against darkness that only surfaces when the light seems gone. These tests, they were not designed to diminish you. They were designed to uncover what your comfort could never reveal. Just as gold must pass through the hottest flames to be purified, I allowed you to walk through seasons that felt too heavy. Not because you were weak, but because you were chosen. I knew the size of the assignment I have for your life, and I also knew that an easy path would never equip you to carry it. So I let the pressure build, not to harm you, but to pull out the depth of purpose that needed to be activated. The disappointment wasn't random, it was targeted to reveal your loyalty. The closed doors were never cruel, they were opportunities for you to discover that your faith wasn't dependent on them. And through every single hardship, every moment you thought would break you, something beautiful was happening under the surface. You were becoming. You were becoming more than what others expected, more than what you thought you were capable of, more than what your past tried to label you. I was shaping someone unshakable, someone who wouldn't just carry blessings, but who would steward them. I was building in you the kind of endurance that doesn't waver under pressure, and the kind of hope that doesn't bend when there's a delay. You didn't always recognize the strength that was forming inside of you, but I did. I saw the grit it took for you to show up again after everything fell apart. I saw the depth of your yes when everything in you wanted to walk away. I saw how you kept your heart soft when bitterness tried to make a home there. And all of that, child, all of that was proof. It was proof that what I placed inside you wasn't shallow. Proof that you didn't crumble, you adapted. That you didn't give up, you recalibrated. That you didn't walk away, you walked deeper. The tests were loud, yes, but the growth they produced in you spoke even louder in heaven. I didn't test you so I could learn something about you. I already knew. I tested you so you would learn something about me and about yourself. You now know you are stronger than you believed. You are more anchored than you appeared. And you are far more capable of carrying my glory than you ever imagined. This next season you are stepping into, it isn't just a reward. It's a reflection. It is the visible evidence of all the internal victories that no one ever clapped for. My final decision isn't just about opening doors. It's about confirming your readiness. And you, my beloved, you are ready. Ready not just to receive, but to reign. Ready not just to step forward, but to stand tall. Ready not just to carry favor, but to walk in authority. What tried to break you only proved that you cannot be broken when you are held by me. The testing is over. The proving is complete. And now comes the unveiling of what the fire has refined. Everything I am doing now reaches far beyond this present moment. This is not simply about giving you relief for what you've endured or answers for the questions you've carried. This is about establishing what comes next. Your tomorrow, your legacy, your next chapter in my divine story. I do not just move to fix what has been broken. I move to build something that will last. Something that will outlive the fleeting hours of today. My decision for your life is not a temporary blessing that will fade with time. It is the beginning of a new dimension of purpose, one that will stretch far past this current season. I've taken into account not just where you are right now, but also the impact your life will have in future spaces, in people's hearts, in generations you haven't even met. I am not reactive, I am prophetic. I see what is coming long before it arrives, and I position you for it. What I am doing now is for the days you haven't seen, the doors you haven't touched, the people you don't even know yet. My decision is not just about giving you back what you lost. It's about preparing you to handle what is ahead. You see the immediate, I see the eternal. You look at your calendar, I look at your calling. I am not trying to patch up your past. I am laying a foundation for where I am taking you. Every step I am asking you to take now is tied to what I have already ordained in your future. I am putting weight behind your footsteps. I am strengthening your voice, not just to speak for today, but to influence the atmosphere in rooms you don't yet know you'll enter. The clarity I'm giving you isn't just for today's decision, but for the vision you'll need for tomorrow. The relationships I'm aligning, the resources I'm releasing, the favor I'm preparing, they all have roots that stretch deep into your future. I am not just providing enough for today. I am equipping you for tomorrow's assignment. What is ahead of you requires more than provision. It requires vision. And I am the one who gives both. Don't be surprised when I begin to separate you from things that no longer match where you are going. Some attachments were only meant for a chapter that has now closed. My decision will start to shift your surroundings. People, patterns, and even your preferences will begin to change. Not because you're aimless, but because I am aligning you with what your future demands. The dreams I've placed in your spirit, they weren't random. They were previews. They were glimpses of what I had in mind all along. You were never meant to stay stuck in a cycle of just getting by. I am calling you into forward movement, into a purpose that unfolds with every step of obedience. Don't anchor yourself to what only made sense in the past. I am giving you new instructions for new territory. Just as I gave my people manna for the day and a strategy for the land, I am giving you substance for right now and a blueprint for tomorrow. You may not see all the details, but you will sense the direction, that stirring you feel, that holy discontent, that sense that you were made for more. That is not your imagination. That is me awakening you to what is coming. My final decision has a ripple effect. It will touch places in your life you didn't even realize were waiting for fulfillment. It will open paths you didn't know existed. It will lead to encounters that shift the entire path of what you thought was familiar. I am not just setting you free from your past. I am sending you into a future where my glory will be revealed through your life. So walk boldly. Not because you know every step, but because you trust the one who has already walked ahead. Your tomorrow is not a mystery to me. It's a masterpiece, still in progress. In this moment, this decision is the doorway to everything I have prepared for the days yet to come. When the familiar begins to feel uncomfortable, when the places you once found peace start to feel tight, when what once fit your life perfectly begins to fall apart at the seams, that isn't chaos, that is me. I am not shaking your life to harm you. I am shifting it to realign you with the purpose I placed inside you before the world even began. This divine adjustment. It may feel sudden, even unsettling, but trust me, it is necessary. You've outgrown some spaces, some roles, and even some relationships that once served their purpose. I allowed you to remain in those places for a time, not because they were your final destination, but because they were part of your preparation. But now, I am calling you to move, not just physically, but spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. This is not a time for settling. It is a time for positioning. There are things I need to loosen in your life to make room for what I have ordained to take root. If I let you stay where you are for too long, you would begin to identify more with your surroundings than with your assignment. That is why you've started to feel that holy discomfort. That unease is not a sign of failure. It is a signal of transition. I am shifting the foundation because I am about to build something new. And anything that is not anchored in me cannot remain standing. This move is not random. I have timed it perfectly. and I am only shaking what must be shaken, so that what is unshakable can remain. You may not recognize all the signs right now, but later you will look back and see how every single change brought you closer to my heart. I am removing what could no longer carry you into your next season. I am disrupting patterns that would have quietly kept you small. I am exposing what needed to be seen so that truth could lead you forward. Even in your confusion, I am present. Even when your plans crumble, my hand is steady. You asked me to guide you. And this is how I lead. Sometimes it's not through an open door, but through a shifting foundation. When I disrupt, it is not to leave you in pieces. It is to reorder everything around you according to my divine pattern. I want you to walk in alignment, not with comfort, not with public opinion, not with your old way of thinking, but with me. Type yes if you are ready for the blessings that you are about to receive. And if you believe in Christianity, kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. Alignment means moving with my spirit, even when it means letting go of what you once clung to. It means releasing your old definitions of success so you can receive heaven's version of significance. It means saying yes to things that may not make sense on paper, but are in perfect sync with my will. The ground beneath you may tremble, but you are not being buried. You are being replanted. I am moving you from shallow soil into deeper places. I am giving you stronger roots, clearer direction, and a foundation that will not fracture under pressure. What looks like instability is actually the beginning of divine structure. And soon, what felt like a loss will reveal itself as your new position. What you thought was being taken away was actually making room for a greater capacity. I am shifting everything, not to punish you, but to protect the promises I've placed inside you. You are stepping into a season that demands alignment at a higher level. There is no room for distraction, no tolerance for detours. I am bringing your life into full agreement with my design, and that means everything that is not in alignment must be adjusted. So do not fear the tremors. Do not resist the pull. Let me move you. Let me anchor you again. Not in the things of this world, but in my presence, my promises, and my plan. You are not losing stability. You are gaining direction. And when the dust settles, you will see. I wasn't shaking your life apart. I was setting you exactly where you were always meant to be. There were chapters in your life that served a purpose, but their time has now passed. I know there were places you once called home that slowly became places of pain. People who once brought you joy began to drain your peace. Patterns you thought were manageable slowly wrapped around your soul and tried to pull you back into cycles I had already called you out of. And now, hear me clearly. You are not going back. The door to that chapter is not just closed. It is sealed. I am not giving you the option to return to what once wounded you, even if a part of you still wonders if it could be different this time. It won't be. It was never designed to follow you into this next season. What you thought was security was actually keeping you stuck. What you tried so hard to fix was never yours to carry forever. You asked me for healing, for clarity, for transformation. And this is part of my answer. I have ended the access to what tried to keep you broken. You may feel the pull of familiarity, the temptation to revisit what once felt safe, even if it was unhealthy. But I am protecting you by making it impossible to go back. That is not cruelty. That is mercy. I love you too much to let you repeat a cycle that nearly destroyed your spirit. I love you too much to watch you settle for less, just because it's familiar. The reason it doesn't feel right anymore is because it isn't yours anymore. I have disconnected you, not because you failed, but because you have grown. You don't belong in that place where you had to shrink your voice, your dreams, and your boundaries. You are not the same person who used to tolerate what you excused. You have evolved through the fire. You have matured through the struggle. And now you carry a discernment that will not let you accept that same weight again. You were never meant to go in circles. I created you to move forward in purpose. That's why I shut down the things you tried to keep alive. That's why the doors you knocked on didn't reopen. I know it stung at first. I know it felt like a loss. But what you didn't see is that I placed my own hand on that handle and I turned the lock myself. I made sure that what hurt you cannot claim you again. I severed those ties with wisdom, not anger. I released you, not to leave you wandering, but to lead you into a place where you can breathe again, stand again, and build again. You thought maybe with more effort, more patience, more time, it could work. But I am telling you, my child, what is behind you is not compatible with what is ahead of you. You have crossed a spiritual line. What once held you captive no longer has permission. The memories may surface, but they will no longer have power. The emotions may stir, but they will not dictate your direction. I am covering your past with my grace, but I am calling your future into full motion. The exit was necessary, the door is sealed, not with regret, but with divine finality. You will not revisit those ruins. You will not rebuild on broken ground. I am taking you higher, and that means elevation must be accompanied by release. Let the former things remain behind. I have already gone ahead to prepare new spaces for you, with new voices, new opportunities, and a fresh anointing that matches your current calling. The atmosphere you are walking into does not resemble the one you left. And that is by my design. I have not only delivered you, I have secured your freedom. You won't need to fight to stay out of that place again, because I have made the way back impossible. What was behind you is behind you for good. My final decision includes your forward movement and your permanent release from the places that broke you. You are not going back. And what is coming is far better than what you had to leave. There are moments when an absence feels louder than a presence. When the people you thought would be there forever slowly drift away. When doors you were so excited to walk through suddenly slam shut, without any explanation. When connections just fade and plans dissolve without warning. And in those moments, it is so easy to blame yourself. It's tempting to wonder, what did I do wrong? What did I miss? Was I not good enough? But I want you to know this. None of it was a mistake. The exits you didn't expect and the closures you didn't ask for, they were not accidents. They were divine eliminations. I removed what looked good, but wasn't grounded in me. I allowed distance to form with people whose presence would have derailed the calling I have placed on your life. Some of those opportunities only appeared to be blessings, but I could see the heavy burden they would have carried had they unfolded. I am not only the God who opens doors. I am also the God who guards your path. And sometimes, the greatest mercy I can give you is protection that is disguised as rejection. You prayed for alignment, didn't you? You asked for my will to be done, and that means I had to subtract what could not stay, what would have eventually harmed your growth, what would have clouded your focus or distracted your devotion. The truth is, some of those relationships were built on conditional loyalty. Some of those open doors led to paths I never intended for you. Some of those partnerships had hidden motives you couldn't see. But I did. I saw the unseen. I heard the conversations you weren't included in. I perceived the intentions long before they ever became actions. And because I love you, I made the decision to allow a separation before sabotage could take place. I let disappointment visit, not to destroy your hope, but to refine your discernment. I let silence settle in after the goodbye, so that you could hear my voice more clearly than theirs. You didn't lose anything that was essential. I simply removed what was seasonal. I made sure that what remains in your life now has been sifted through my wisdom and shaped by my love. I know it hurt. I know the unanswered texts, the vanishing support, the promises broken without a reason. I know they wounded your spirit. But I want you to see it differently now. Not as abandonment, but as preservation. You were never truly alone. You were simply being repositioned. I was detaching you from anchors that could not hold you in the waters I'm about to lead you into. The weight they were carrying would have slowed you down. The mindset they lived in could not travel with the revelation I am giving you. Some of them were tied to an old version of you, a version that no longer exists, and so they left, where the opportunity dissolved. And instead of trying to rebuild what I have allowed to end, I need you to release it completely. Don't try to reopen what I have shut. Don't chase after what has already exited. Don't beg for access to what I have revoked. I am not punishing you. I am preparing you. And part of that preparation meant clearing the path of distractions that were disguised as destiny. Trust me when I tell you, what's ahead does not require who or what was removed. What I am about to place in your life will be built on truth, not manipulation. On honor, not compromise. On longevity, not convenience. The people who will walk with you into this next season will not just clap for your victories. They will help you carry your vision when you feel weary. The opportunities that will arise will not just excite your emotions. They will challenge and fulfill your very soul. I am not replacing what left. I am upgrading what is coming. And soon, you will look back and you will thank me for every closed chapter, for every person who walked away, and for every yes that turned into a no. You will realize I never took anything from you. I only made room for what was truly yours. And that, beloved, is part of my final decision. There are things that glitter in this world, people, positions, opportunities that seem to align with your prayers. But not all that appears good is truly from my hand. You see only the outside. I see the depth of what is beneath. You were drawn to certain things because they promised comfort, stability, or validation. But I saw what would have come attached to them. I looked beyond the smile, beyond the presentation, beyond the opportunity. I saw the fine print you couldn't read. I saw the strings that would have tied your soul to compromise. I saw the delays it would have caused in your purpose. So I removed it. Not to withhold joy from you, but to preserve your destiny. I intervened quietly, almost invisibly, pulling it away before it had the chance to take root in your life. I know it felt like a loss at first. You may have questioned me, wondering why something that seemed so great slipped right through your fingers. You may have wrestled with the disappointment, asking if you missed your moment or failed to hear me. But the truth is, I stepped in because you trusted me to guide you. Even when the path wasn't clear, you gave me permission when you surrendered and said, Your will be done. And I took that prayer seriously. I protected you from distractions that wore the disguise of destiny. I covered you from entanglements that would have cost you more than you ever realized. I intercepted opportunities that looked promising, but would have poisoned your purpose. There were connections that would have drained your spirit slowly. Environments that would have dimmed your light gradually. I didn't allow them to flourish. Not because I was punishing you, but because I was shielding you. You may have seen potential, but I saw the pitfalls. You saw progress, but I saw the old patterns. I recognized cycles from your past, trying to present themselves in a new way, and I refused to let them attach to your future. Sometimes, my greatest protection is not in what I give, but in what I take away. And what I removed, though it may have felt abrupt, it was a rescue, a divine extraction. I pulled you out before you got in too deep, before your identity became wrapped around something I never authored. I didn't want you to have to heal from something I could prevent, so I stepped in. I disrupted it, gently, lovingly, but firmly. I made it uncomfortable so you wouldn't want to stay. I let the cracks show so you would stop trying to build on it. I quieted the excitement so you could hear the warning. You didn't fail. You were protected. What didn't work out was never meant to be yours for the long term. I let you experience just enough to learn from it, but not enough to be wounded by it. And now I want you to let it go, fully, not just with your hands, but with your heart. Don't carry resentment over what ended. Don't let bitterness grow in the soil where I planted wisdom. What is behind you was part of your journey, but it is not part of your future. I removed it so you would be free. Not just free from it, but free for what is coming. What I am preparing for you doesn't require any of what I took away. In fact, it demands that your hands be open and your soul be uncluttered. I am creating space for what is truly mine. Relationships that honor your calling, opportunities that match your character, doors that lead to peace, not performance. Trust that if I took it, I had a reason. If I closed it, I had insight. And if I blocked it, it's because I have something better waiting. My final decision is layered with my foresight. I protect not only your present, but your future. You don't need to chase what I have removed. Let it remain behind you and keep walking forward. What I have for you, it won't need to be forced. It will come with confirmation, with peace, and with fruit that lasts. Because this time, it won't just look good. It will be mine, long before your feet ever reach the places I have prepared. I was already there, opening the way. You may feel unseen at times, like your obedience is hidden, your progress is unnoticed, and your prayers are unheard. But I want you to know this truth. Your name is not unknown in heaven, and it is not forgotten on earth. In realms you have never walked, I have whispered your name. In meetings you weren't invited to, I have placed favor in the minds of people who don't even know you yet. There are spaces being shifted, hearts being stirred, and decisions being made. All because I have already gone before you to prepare the path. You don't need to promote yourself. You don't need to strive to be noticed. What I have ordained for you is not dependent on your ability to market your calling. It is secured by my sovereignty. I am the one who calls kings to attention and causes voices to speak your name at just the right moment. You don't have to worry about missing the opportunity I crafted for you, because I have scheduled it in divine time. I put your purpose into motion before you even knew how to pray for it. You were never behind. You were never forgotten. You were never overlooked. I have been orchestrating things in the background while you simply stayed faithful in the hidden place. And now the fruit of your unseen labor is beginning to reach the ears and eyes of those who hold the keys to your next door. You didn't need to be in the room for me to speak on your behalf. I have been planting thoughts in minds, stirring conversations, and aligning hearts to recognize the anointing you carry. What is yours cannot be missed. The table that is being set for you is not built by human hands. It is a divine arrangement. I've gone ahead, not just to prepare a place, but to prepare people. The ones who will walk with you in this next season are being drawn, not by your image, but by your assignment. I have spoken your name into atmospheres where purpose is recognized, long before a presence is seen. And that is why you felt a stirring in your spirit, a sense that something is shifting, even though nothing has visibly changed yet. That is me, alerting your spirit that alignment is happening behind the curtain. I'm not just bringing you to the right places, I'm causing the right places to be ready for you. The influence you will carry isn't built on platforms. It is born out of purity. Your impact will not come from striving, it will come from staying yielded to me. You remained faithful in the seasons of silence, and now I am raising your name in the ears of decision makers, not to elevate your ego, but to position your destiny. And here's the beauty of it. You didn't have to manipulate anything to get here. You didn't have to force your way in. You waited. You trusted, you served, and you sowed in quietness. And now I am bringing the harvest to fields you didn't even know you had planted. You may not have the connections, but you have the covenant. You may not have the resume they expect, but you have the favor I have released. My endorsement is greater than anything man can offer. So don't be surprised when invitations come unexpectedly. Don't second-guess the moments when doors open without any explanation. It is not random. It is fulfillment. I have gone ahead to ensure that when you arrive, the room will already be prepared, the hearts will already be open, and the timing will already be perfect. This is not coincidence. This is covenant movement. You are not just walking into an opportunity, you are stepping into a prophecy. Every closed door you once faced, every no that confused you, every delay that stretched you, it was all leading to this moment, where my voice speaks your name in places your feet are just now beginning to reach. You didn't miss it. I saved it for you. And now I am releasing it. Because my final decision has already made room for you. The blessing that is drawing near to you. It is not fragile, it is not fleeting, it is not dependent on trends or tied to temporary favor. It is not something that will fade with the changing seasons or be snatched away by a shifting world. This is not the kind of breakthrough that comes and goes. This is something rooted deeply in the soil of eternity. What I am about to place into your hands was authored before time began. It is part of a divine rhythm that has been moving toward you all along, even when you couldn't see it. You have waited. You have trusted. You have held on longer than you thought you could. And now I want you to know, this isn't just another moment of encouragement. This is a divine unveiling of something that cannot be undone. I am releasing into your life not just a blessing, but a shift. One that aligns with the blueprint I wrote for you before you ever took your first breath. It has permanence because it was never sourced from this world. It is not based on your efforts, your surroundings, or your status. It is based on my covenant with you. Heaven doesn't operate on earthly timelines, and what I am doing in your life is not running late. It is arriving exactly when it was meant to. You felt like the delays cost you something, but what is coming wasn't diminished by the waiting, it was deepened by it. The longer it took, the greater the depth of what I was building in secret. Like roots growing deep underground, there were structures I was forming in the unseen places of your life to support the weight of what I am now about to release. This blessing doesn't come with strings attached, it comes with stability. This open door will not require you to compromise. This elevation will not bring confusion, because I have already cleared the air of what used to cloud your vision. You will not have to keep looking over your shoulder, wondering if it will last, because I have sealed it with my word. The enemy cannot dismantle what I have secured in heaven's authority. You will not have to fight to keep it. You will simply need to steward it with wisdom and a surrendered heart. What is being released into your life is something that carries my fingerprint. It is not the result of coincidence. It is not the product of worldly systems. It is a gift born from grace and carried on the wings of your obedience. You didn't earn it by your performance. You positioned yourself for it through your persistence. And now I am bringing it into your reality with permanence. It will not vanish under pressure. It will not collapse in chaos. It will not be swept away by fear or shaken by storms. It has been established on something greater than time. It has been forged in eternity, and eternity does not expire. You have seen things come and go. You have watched promises be made and broken. You have carried a hope that sometimes felt so fragile. But what I am about to pour out will be unmistakably different. This isn't a revival that just flickers. This is a legacy that stands. I have ensured that what is being added to your life now will echo forward, touching lives far beyond your own. It will carry impact, not just create moments. It will birth movements, not just stir emotions. It will settle your spirit, not stir up your anxiety. And the reason is simple. It is not coming from what you built. It is coming from what I established. The doors opening for you now are attached to a timing that I alone designed. The favor you are stepping into will not be seasonal. It will be sustained. And even when challenges arise, even when resistance appears, what I have anchored in you will remain firm. You are entering into a new era, one where my decisions for you are no longer clouded by delay, no longer hidden by the process. The fullness is arriving, and it will not leave you empty. The peace I am releasing will not fade with the first sign of conflict. The provision I am releasing will not dry up. The clarity I am releasing will not dissolve into confusion. Because I am not giving you something to carry for a moment. I am establishing you for a lifetime. My final decision is not just a blessing. It is a placement, a positioning, a permanence, born from eternity. And it will stand. There is a difference between being elevated for a moment and being rooted for a lifetime. What I am doing in you now isn't just about giving you a glimpse of favor or offering a brief breakthrough to encourage you. I am moving in such a way that what I release will not just lift you out of the pit. It will anchor you in a new place of influence, purpose, and divine authority. I am not interested in momentary applause or fleeting victories. I am interested in building something lasting in your life. Something that doesn't wobble under pressure or fade when the spotlight dims. You have been through too much. You have waited too long. You have endured too deeply for me to hand you something shallow. What I am placing into your hands now will not be something you have to constantly chase to keep. It will not rise and fall based on the approval of others. This is tailor-made, fitted by grace, refined through your wilderness, and backed by all of heaven. The blessing that is coming will do more than make your name known. It will make your foundation strong. Because I don't just want to lift you up, I want to make sure you can remain where I place you. I am not building this on emotion or energy or momentum. I am building this on truth, on obedience, on character, and on covenant. This is about stability, something the world could never give you. I am establishing you in an identity that does not shift with your circumstances. I am anchoring you in a peace that does not shake in the storm. I am positioning you in a realm where the striving ends and the clarity begins. You do not have to prove your place. I have already affirmed it. You do not have to compete for what is yours. I have already secured it. There is a depth to this next move that you won't be able to explain to everyone, because it is not based on performance. It is based on presence. You will find yourself moving with greater wisdom, not because you've become more impressive, but because you have become more aligned. You will walk into rooms with confidence, not arrogance, because you will know you were placed there by my hand. You will build with conviction, not desperation, because you will know your assignment is not based on public demand. It is born from divine instruction. This is the season where I am setting your feet on ground that will not crumble beneath you. Where others once questioned your ability to last, I will show them what it looks like when I establish someone through process, not privilege. You were not rushed through this journey. You were not promoted too early. You went through the stretching, the refining, the pruning. And now you will carry the strength of someone who knows what it costs to be here. That strength will keep you grounded. That strength will allow you to handle the blessing with humility. And that strength, child, will remind you every day that this isn't something you built by accident. It is something I constructed with intention. I am establishing you in ways you never expected. Not just financially, not just relationally, but spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. You will feel a new steadiness inside of you. Not one driven by a fear of loss, but one filled with a quiet assurance that what is yours, what is from me, cannot be shaken. You have spent enough time climbing unstable ladders, hoping they wouldn't fall. Now I am placing you on solid ground where your hands are free, not to hold on in fear, but to build without trembling. This blessing is different. It is not fragile, it is fortified. It is not shallow, it is sealed. And it is not fleeting. It is fixed in me. What I give you now will last, not because of what you do to maintain it, but because of what I have already done to make it immovable. This isn't just a moment of being lifted. This is the beginning of being firmly planted. My final decision isn't just to raise you, it is to root you in a life that reflects my faithfulness from this day forward. There were seasons where you felt like an outsider, even in the places you were called to. Rooms you walked into with hope ended up making you feel invisible. You gave your best, and still you were overlooked. You stayed humble, and yet others advanced ahead of you. You carried this purpose in your spirit, but it seemed like no one could recognize the weight of what you brought. And in those moments of silence, when the doors remained shut, when your voice felt small, when you were surrounded by people who questioned your value, You began to wonder if you were even meant to be at the table at all. But child, I saw it all. I saw every effort. I witnessed every moment you held your tongue instead of defending yourself. I noticed how you applauded others while your own heart was longing for just a little acknowledgement. I counted the tears that fell in secret because you felt forgotten in the very places you had served so faithfully. And now, I want you to hear me clearly. You will not have to fight your way in anymore. I am making room for you, not in the hidden corners, but at prepared places. The table I am setting is not one built by men. It is built by my hand. It isn't dependent on your connections or your credentials. It is not something you have to campaign for. I am not requiring you to perform, to be seen, or to strive to be accepted. What I am doing now is beyond politics and position. It is about purpose. I am preparing a place for you that no one can deny you, because I have already reserved it in your name. Those who once questioned your calling will now watch me confirm it. Those who spoke doubt over your future will now witness me fulfill it. Not to shame them, but to reveal that what I placed inside you was never dependent on their approval. I don't elevate to make a statement of revenge. I raise up to glorify what is righteous. And because you did not try to push your own way forward, because you let me defend your name and your story, now I will do it openly. I am placing you where no one expected, because my favor doesn't follow human formulas. It follows faith. You were faithful when no one was watching, and now I'm preparing a public table for you, not for applause, but for your assignment. I want you seated not to be seen, but to serve, to lead with grace, to influence with humility, to bless others from the overflow I am about to release into your life. And you will not sit in fear. You will sit in peace. You will not question whether you belong. You will know that I brought you here. Your seat will not be unstable. It will not come with strings attached. It will not require you to compromise. I am not handing you a place where you have to fit in. I have built a place that was made for you. I know you've been wondering when your time will come. You felt unseen, and you've been trying so hard to hold your ground. But I need you to hear me. I am giving you a platform to fulfill what I've placed inside you. You don't need to defend your right to be there, because I have already spoken for you in heaven. And now that decision is manifesting on earth. I am the one who lifts you up. I have chosen to lift you, not to exalt your ego, but to elevate your purpose. You're going to find yourself standing in places that once felt so out of reach, not because you pushed harder, but because you trusted longer. You didn't manipulate, you didn't chase after platforms, you chased me. And because of that, what I am doing in your life is different. It's deeper, it's purer, and I promise you, it is irrevocable. No one can close the door I am opening, and no voice can undo what I have declared. So sit, my child, not in fear, not in apology, but in the quiet confidence that the place I have prepared is yours. It comes with peace, purpose, and a story that only I could write. This isn't the result of luck. It is the fruit of your alignment with me. My final decision includes your rightful place, one that reflects what I have always seen in you, even when others could not. And I know you may have wondered if this moment was about proving something to the people who hurt you, the ones who abandoned you or misunderstood you. You've replayed those scenarios in your mind, what they said, what they did, how they left without explaining or blamed you without a cause. You've silently asked, will they ever know the truth? Will they ever see the weight I carried or the sincerity of what I gave? But listen to me, beloved. What I am doing in your life right now isn't about vindication in their eyes. It's about restoration in the depths of your soul. I am not lifting you up just to make a spectacle of your past. I am not blessing you so that others will feel the sting of regret. I am blessing you because I am your Redeemer. I restore what was stolen, not to satisfy an ego, but to heal what was broken. My decision is not driven by human emotion. It's not about settling scores. It is about writing your story. I don't operate in bitterness. I move in mercy. And what I am doing now is the result of my covenant with you, not my anger toward them. I watched you struggle with the pain of injustice, the ache of false assumptions, and the sting of being treated as less than you are. But I never lost sight of who you are. I never accepted the verdicts others placed over your name. While they spoke over you from their limited view, I was already planning how I would restore every piece they tried to break. And now I am doing just that, but not with a spirit of revenge. I am doing it with a heart of redemption. I want your healing, not their humiliation. I want your joy, not their regret. I want your wholeness, not their shame. I know this. If I rebuild your life only to prove a point, your foundation becomes pride. But if I rebuild your life to restore your heart, your foundation becomes peace. I am interested in your peace. I am passionate about your freedom. The truth is, I have already handled what they did. I've seen the full picture. Every word spoken in secret, every motive behind the mask. I've already sifted their actions through my perfect justice, and I've already extended grace in ways you haven't seen. Now, I need you to release the need for retribution and receive the beauty of restoration. What I'm about to pour into your life is not payback, it's a promise fulfilled. It is me saying, I haven't forgotten you. I haven't neglected your pain. I was just waiting for the right time to do this the right way. And the right way is always the redemptive way. I will bless you openly, not to boast, but to reveal that I am who I say I am. I am the God who brings good from ashes. I am the God who turns mourning into dancing. I am the God who prepares joy where sorrow tried to plant itself. Your story will be a testimony, not of how you overcame people, but of how you trusted me to do what only I could. You will walk forward with a heart free of resentment. You will move into this next season without dragging the weight of what was done. This is not a moment of revenge. Type yes if you are ready for the blessings that you are about to receive. And if you believe in Christianity, kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. It is a movement of redemption. And because of that, you will have a peace that cannot be disturbed, a joy that cannot be reversed, and a future that cannot be touched by the damage of the past. My final decision is to redeem everything that was meant to ruin you, and to do it in such a way that all that's left is beauty, blessing, and the undeniable evidence that I was with you through it all. You've looked back and grieved the time you thought was wasted. You've counted the days, the months, even the years that seemed lost to pain, confusion, and delay. There were seasons where you gave your all, yet you saw nothing flourish. You watched opportunities slip by. You witnessed doors open for others while you waited in silence. And inside you began to wonder, did I miss it? Is it too late? Did those years pass without meaning? But I want to tell you something. Heaven has known all along. Not one moment was truly lost. Not one season was wasted beyond my reach. The enemy may have touched your journey, but he never had the power to erase your purpose. I saw every second he tried to drain your hope, and I have counted it all, not to remind you of the loss, but to measure what I am about to return. I do not repay lightly. I do not restore in fractions. When I restore, I return in full, and then I add the overflow. I saw when your joy was drained, your confidence diminished, your energy spent. I saw the delay that made you feel like everyone else was progressing while you stood still. And now I am moving with intention, not just to give you something new, but to give you back what the enemy assumed was gone forever. You thought you had to let go of that dream because too much time had passed. You believed the promise had expired, but I was never late. I was preserving something sacred for this very moment. What I'm returning to you will not be the same as what was taken. It will be better. Not just restored, but refined. Not just replaced, but multiplied. You see, I was not only watching your pain, I was storing your perseverance. Every time you trusted me instead of giving up, every time you chose to worship through the weariness, I took note. And I am not just restoring what the enemy touched. I am adding interest. This next chapter will not be a repeat of what you've seen. It will be redemption with power. The time you thought was barren was actually where your roots were going deep. The years that felt fruitless were the very seasons I was building the foundation to carry what I am about to give you. Where others received quickly, you will receive deeply, because I've been preparing you for a blessing that won't be shaken. You will look around in awe, not at what you've gained, but at how I've brought it all back, better than before. I am restoring opportunities that align with your true identity, not the version of you shaped by pain. I am reconnecting you with relationships that honor your soul, not drain it. I'm reigniting the vision that once burned in your heart before disappointment tried to put it out. You are not too late. You are right on time, because I am the keeper of time. And I redeem time, not by rewinding the past, but by releasing more than you missed into your present. So do not mourn what you think is gone. Get ready for what I am about to release. The enemy thought he succeeded in stealing years, but what he didn't know is that I was keeping a record. I was watching. I was waiting. And now I am moving. Not just to comfort you, but to restore you. Not just to encourage you, but to repay you. Your story is about to shift from survival to supernatural restoration. People will look at your life and wonder how so much could be rebuilt so quickly, and you will know the answer. It was me. It was never too late. It was always in my hands. My final decision is not to leave you picking up broken pieces. It is to hand you back the years redeemed, resurrected, and overflowing with glory. There have been times you walked forward, but it felt like stumbling through fog. Times you prayed for clarity, but only encountered silence. You wanted direction, but decisions felt blurred. You wanted peace, but doubt crept in like a thief, unsettling your confidence. You looked for signs, but only saw uncertainty. And all the while, shadows tried to distort what I had spoken. Whispers of fear, memories of failure, distractions dressed as opportunities. These shadows were sent to mislead you, to cause you to question what you once believed so clearly. But hear me now. I am shining light into every single place where confusion has tried to take root. I am dispelling that fog, not by shouting over it, but by unveiling the truth I've always had waiting for you. My truth doesn't scream, it illuminates. It doesn't compete with chaos, it calms it. And my truth is about to silence every conflicting voice that has invaded your mind. I never created you to live in constant tension, second-guessing every choice. That isn't discernment, that's warfare. And I am putting an end to it. I am replacing that spiritual static with stillness and precision. My spirit will begin confirming things in your heart so unmistakably that peace will settle before every yes and unrest will rise before every no. You won't have to strive to figure it all out. I will make it plain. The way forward will be marked. I'm not just showing you where to go. I'm releasing discernment, a kind that doesn't come from intellect, but from intimacy. The more time you spend in my presence, the more familiar my voice becomes, and the easier it is to recognize when I am leading. That is how the confusion breaks. Not with striving, but with proximity. Shadows cannot survive in light. And my light is now flooding the areas of your life that used to be covered by guessing and grasping. This is your moment to walk with open eyes and move without hesitation. I am not the author of confusion. I am the source of clarity. My final decision is not only to bless you, but to guide you with a clarity that no darkness can overpower. And with this clarity, I am restoring something that was stripped from you, your true identity. For so long, the truth of who you are was buried beneath the opinions of others. You were labeled by people who never knew your heart. You were placed into boxes you never agreed to. They judged your silence as weakness, your gentleness as passivity, your loyalty as naivety. They misused your kindness. They misjudged your motives. And in the midst of it all, you carried the weight of trying to prove your heart. But I want you to understand, you no longer have to fight for understanding when I have already written the truth. I know your heart, I've seen your motives. I was never confused about who you are. When others misrepresented you, I stood as the defender of your name. And now I am stepping in, not to get even, but to set things right. My justice is about restoration. I'm writing the ending, not by erasing what you went through, but by revealing how I've repurposed every scar. What was once used to shame you will now serve as a platform for healing. The very parts of your story that were misunderstood will become the message that liberates others. You no longer have to shrink back. I am bringing truth into the open, not as a weapon, but as a witness. And when people look again, they won't just see the misunderstood version. They will see the redeemed, the resilient, the radiant one I've been forming through the fire. You don't have to carry the burden of explaining yourself anymore. I will make the truth clear. You will not rise from a place of resentment. You will rise from a place of healing. And that, more than anything, is what will speak loudest. I'm not just clearing your name. I am revealing your nature, the one I designed, the one that stayed intact even when your reputation was chipped away. I'm restoring that dignity. I'm healing that memory. I'm redeeming every moment you were unseen. What matters now is not how they saw you, it's how I see you. And I say you are chosen, whole, healed, and rising. There have been voices from others and from within that have tried to tell you who you are. Words spoken in frustration, comparison, or cruelty that left deep marks. Voices that told you that you were too much or not enough. But I want you to hear me now, louder than all of them. Those voices do not carry the authority to define you. They were never your maker. I am, and I have not stuttered in my verdict over you. You are not broken. You are not disqualified. You are not a mistake. You are mine. I saw every word spoken over you, and I am rewriting those internal agreements now. I'm not just silencing the external noise, I am healing the inner echo. I'm replacing the false definitions with divine declarations. Where they said you were a burden, I say you're a blessing. Where they called you difficult, I call you destined. Where they said you'd never rise, I say you're already rising. You are not who they said you were. You never were. That's why it always felt like something didn't fit. You were trying to wear words that weren't woven for you. Now I'm removing them. Every lie, every label, and in its place, I'm speaking new words. Words of purpose, power, and restoration. My voice over you is not harsh, it is healing. It doesn't remind you of failure, it calls out your future. Let that voice become the loudest in your heart. I am establishing what I say, and I say you are free, you are seen, you are strong, you have nothing to prove and everything to become. My final decision about you is not based on their limitations, but on my love. And that decision speaks louder than anything else ever said. You've walked through seasons where it seemed like everything was going in reverse. Moments where progress turned into a pause, and doors you thought were opening suddenly closed. To others, it may have looked like you failed, like your momentum stalled. Some may have even whispered that you missed your opportunity. But here is the truth that only heaven understood. It was never a step back. It was a divine positioning. What they saw as you falling behind was actually me pulling you into the exact place where I could prepare you for the weight of what's next. They saw the surface, but I saw the soil. I wasn't removing you from visibility to punish you. I was pulling you deeper to anchor you. Just like a seed must be hidden before it can sprout, I allowed you to be covered, not because you were finished, but because you were about to flourish. It didn't look like growth, because growth doesn't always shout. Sometimes it happens in silence, beneath the layers where no one is watching. While others judged your outcome, I was working beneath the surface, strengthening your foundation, increasing your capacity, and stripping away everything that could not sustain where I'm taking you. And now the season is shifting. What was hidden is about to be seen. Not because you forced your way forward, but because you've been faithfully planted. You've endured misunderstanding without becoming bitter. And now you are about to emerge, not by accident, but by my appointment. Look at every no, every delay, every detour differently now. See them as me guiding, not denying. See them as redirection, not rejection. What felt like a door slamming shut was actually me pulling you out of something too small, too shallow, or too soon. I had to let it fall apart so that what I've designed could come together. What was meant to bury you will become the ground you rise from. What they laughed at, I will now use as proof that I was with you all along. You are not behind. You are right where I have placed you. Let them call it a setback. I call it a setup. And I'm not just setting you up for a personal breakthrough. I'm setting you up to be a testimony. This is the beginning of a move that only I could have orchestrated. My final decision isn't based on what went wrong. It's rooted in what I've always planned to make right. You've carried things you thought disqualified you. You've looked at your past, your mistakes, your wounds, and wondered if they had disfigured the future I promised. You felt the weight of shame, not just from what was done to you, but from decisions you regret. The enemy tried to convince you that you had missed your moment, that you were less worthy, less pure, less able to be used. But here's the truth. Nothing disqualifies what I have destined. I don't see you through the lens of failure. I see you through the lens of my finished work. The cross didn't make room for perfect people. It made room for redemption stories. And you, child, are a living story still unfolding in my hands. I never asked you to be flawless. I asked you to be available. I chose you knowing every chapter. I factored in your detours, I anticipated your struggles, and I still said yes, not because I overlooked those things, but because I planned to redeem them. I knew that what you thought would disqualify you could become the very evidence of my power. You see wounds, I see testimony. You see weakness, I see a vessel that depends on me. You see flaws, I see places my grace can shine through. The places you tried to hide are the very places I want to reveal my goodness. I'm not asking you to carry shame anymore. I'm asking you to carry light. The things they pointed to as reasons to overlook you, I am transforming into proof that I am the God who raises the overlooked. They thought your pain disqualified you, but I'm using it to make your voice louder. They thought your background was too broken, but I'm using it to reach people no one else could. You don't need to erase your past to be qualified. You need to surrender it. What the world throws away, I resurrect. I am not embarrassed by your story. I am enthroned in it. Because when I lift you, it will be clear that it was not man who made the way. It was me. Not networking, not perfection, not performance. Just me. Your life is not a contradiction to my calling. It is confirmation. You don't have to keep proving that you belong. You already do. I don't work through perfect resumes. I work through willing hearts. I am taking the very parts of your life you wished had never happened, and I'm breathing purpose into them. Don't be ashamed of where you've been. Don't hide what I'm redeeming. Let your life speak, not of how perfect you were, but of how faithful I am. My final decision is to take the parts others would discard and make them shine. Through you, I will show the world that nothing is wasted and that I can raise anyone from anywhere to reflect my glory. The delay is over. The pause has served its purpose. What once felt like a holding pattern is shifting into motion. The things you've prayed about in private, wept over in silence, and waited on with trembling hope are now being touched by my hand in real time. You've been faithful in the stillness. You remained when it would have been easier to walk away. Type yes if you are ready for the blessings that you are about to receive. And if you believe in Christianity, kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. And because of that, the atmosphere around you is changing. Heaven is not just listening, it's responding. The release you've longed for isn't far off. It's beginning now, not in a dramatic flash, but like the first breath after a long silence. A shift so deep you feel it before you see it. I know you thought maybe I misunderstood, but I'm telling you today, this is not a delay any longer. This is the unveiling. You have learned to walk by trust and not by sight, and now I am opening what once seemed sealed. You are stepping into fulfillment by design. And what I am releasing is the fullness. The harvest you forgot was still buried under the soil of your obedience. What felt invisible was never inactive. This is more than answers, it's alignment. You're stepping into timing that was written before your first breath. And as you move forward, you won't need to force anything. I will do the lifting. You won't have to explain yourself. I will speak through the results. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are right on schedule. You are no longer in waiting. You are in release. Walk in it. There are moments in your life when it felt like every path forward was sealed. You knocked on doors with expectation, only to be met with silence. You questioned your worth. But what you didn't see was this. I was reserving a door that no man could block, delay, or manipulate. A door not crafted by human design, but framed in heaven. And now that door is unlocking. Not by the influence of people, but by my authority alone. You won't have to push to make it open. The access I am giving you now flows from promise. I have watched every moment you stood patiently, and now my answer is moving into view. This is your turn, and no voice can revoke it. No system can delay it. No opposition can cancel what I've decreed. You will walk through this door not because of who you know, but because of who I am. I am the God who opens what no one can shut. This is not a temporary opening. This is a wide and lasting way made for you. What awaits you on the other side is not more striving. It's settled purpose. It's territory that has your name on it. This open door is a release of destiny. I've waited until your heart could handle what your hands are about to carry, and now they are ready. Walk forward knowing this. No person can reverse what I have set in motion. You don't need permission from the world to walk into what heaven has assigned to you. You only need my word, and I've given it. I've said come. I've said now. I've said it's open. Step in, child. The door stands wide. And what I am bringing into your life now is not meant to offer temporary relief. It's designed to change the patterns that have kept you repeating the same battles. You've seen how some struggles have come in waves, circling back again and again. You've fought them, you've endured them, and now I want you to know I am not just lifting the burden. I am breaking the cycles that have moved through your family. The habits, the strongholds, the emotional traps that kept you tethered to the same outcomes. They are being shattered. This breakthrough isn't surface level. It's structural. It's going to the root. You will no longer feel like you're moving forward only to be pulled backward again. I'm cutting the cords to the patterns that drain your strength. This time, the change will be visible and lasting. You'll notice it in your thoughts. Clarity replacing confusion. You'll notice it in your behavior. Peace becoming your first response instead of fear. What I am doing now is not about managing chaos. It's about establishing freedom. You were never meant to live stuck in spiritual cycles, walking in circles around the same mountain. That stirring you felt wasn't frustration. It was the friction of your spirit getting ready to step into new territory. This is your crossing point. The internal patterns that once held you captive are being replaced with rhythms of grace. Where anxiety once spiraled, you'll find stillness. Where insecurity repeated itself, confidence will take root. I'm rewriting the way you respond to pressure. I'm rebuilding your identity from the inside out. What I give you now will not require you to sacrifice your peace to maintain it. This will be a flow, not a fight. It's not just a blessing, it's a divine reversal. Everything that tried to entangle you will now lose its grip. This is more than breakthrough, it's reformation. I'm resetting the entire framework of how you walk with me. The cycles are broken. The patterns have lost their power. You're not just being freed. You're being made whole. My final decision isn't just to give you a moment of freedom. It's to deliver you into a future where the chains never return. For so long, you've walked through seasons where your sense of self was clouded by circumstances, blurred by what others projected onto you, and buried under survival. You began adapting to labels that didn't fit, roles that weren't yours, and expectations that drained your joy. You tried to hold everything together, often compromising who you really were just to keep the peace. Somewhere in the midst of it, the voice you once knew so clearly, your own voice, began to fade. You started to question your instincts and wonder if you even knew who you truly were anymore. But I have seen the real you the entire time. The version of you not defined by trauma, not shaped by rejection, not diminished by disappointment. I've seen the heart that kept loving even when it was wounded, and now I am reawakening it all. Not just reminding you of who you were, but reintroducing you to who I created you to be before the world taught you to shrink. This is not a recovery of what was lost. It is a revealing of what I've preserved. Beneath every layer the world placed on you, your true self remained untouched by the lies. I placed my image in you, and no amount of pain can erase it. That's why you felt that holy restlessness, a quiet knowing that there is more to you than what you settled for. That nudge wasn't your imagination. It was my spirit stirring what I never let die. I'm calling you back to your original design. One who dreamed freely, moved boldly, trusted deeply. I'm not just healing you so you can function. I'm restoring you so you can flourish. You will walk forward as the version of yourself that reflects me most fully. The sound of your voice will return, not just in what you say, but in how you show up. There will be a new ease in your expression because you will no longer feel like you have to earn your place. There will be a new confidence in your presence because you will know you are not an echo. You are a voice. You are not a copy. You are a creation. And you don't have to apologize for growing out of what you've outlived. I am releasing you from the masks, the performing, the exhausting efforts to meet standards I never set for you. You are not too much. You are not too late. You are exactly who I've been waiting to reveal. My decision isn't just to heal you. It's to reveal you. To reintroduce you to the world, but more importantly, to yourself. The self I designed. The self that was never lost, only hidden. You are no longer surviving. You are rising. And this rise begins with a reunion between you and the real you. That, beloved, is my final decision. And there's a reason certain spaces feel too tight now. Why some conversations leave you restless. Why some relationships feel strained. You've tried to explain it away, to quiet the discomfort, so you could keep everything as it was. But you can't anymore, because it's not something going wrong. It's something going right. You are growing. Spiritually. You've been stretched in silence. Your discernment has sharpened. And the places that once felt secure now feel suffocating. Not because you're ungrateful, but because you've been prepared for more. I'm not punishing you by pulling you out of old spaces. I'm preserving you. You weren't meant to stay where you could no longer breathe, where your voice was restricted, or where you had to shrink to stay. That's why I'm removing things. Not to hurt you, but to make room for alignment. It's not subtraction. It's space being created for what matches the version of you I've been building. You've outgrown dynamics where you were always the one pouring but never being poured into. You've evolved beyond relationships rooted in your past but resistant to your purpose. You've matured past the need to be constantly understood, choosing instead to be obedient, even when it's lonely. And now I'm shifting everything to reflect that internal transformation. I'm clearing the way for you to walk into rooms where your soul can breathe again, where your dreams don't sound too big, where your wisdom is received, What I'm bringing into your life now will not compete with your growth. It will complement it. You'll know you're in the right space when your presence doesn't feel like pressure, but peace. You'll recognize it by the ease, the lightness. But to get there, I must release you from attachments that can't come with you. You've tried to carry everyone and everything out of love, out of habit. But now I'm showing you the difference between loyalty and limitation. Some things were beautiful for their season, but dangerous if held too long. Don't mourn the loss of what was seasonal. Bless it, release it, and trust me to replace it with what's eternal. I'm sending voices that affirm your calling. I'm preparing atmospheres where your gift doesn't feel like a threat. I'm building spaces that don't tolerate your presence. They celebrate it. You're not hard to love. You just hadn't been in the right environment yet. But that changes now. I'm relocating your spirit into settings that are shaped for your growth. You'll feel the shift in your conversations, in your circles. Because I'm not just upgrading your surroundings, I'm honoring your stewardship. You didn't chase the platform, you chased my presence. And now the reward is a space where you can unfold without fear, expand without shame, and thrive without apology. My final decision is to plant you where you can breathe fully, live freely, and grow endlessly, without needing to shrink, explain, or hide again. You've spent so much time trying to make sense of what didn't make sense, searching for the why behind the closed doors. Replaying the moments you thought you got it right, only to be met with silence. You tried to trace every step, hoping that if you could just understand, the pain would feel more bearable. But child, you were never meant to carry clarity like a requirement. I never asked you to understand everything. I asked you to follow me. You've confused peace with explanation, but they are not the same. There are some things I will never explain, not because you don't deserve to know, but because your healing doesn't depend on answers. It depends on me. And I am offering you peace as an inheritance, the kind of peace that steadies you even when the details remain hidden. What I'm offering you now is a shift from needing control to embracing surrender. You've worn yourself out searching for closure in places that were only meant to teach you how to trust. I am inviting you to let go of your demand for certainty and pick up the gift of peace that surpasses all understanding. A peace that flows from knowing I already have it figured out. I've seen what's next. I'm not nervous about your future. You will not be defined by confusion. You will be led by peace. I'm teaching you to find security, not in clarity, but in me. Stop chasing certainty and start choosing trust. I will lead you step by step, and with each one, peace will lead you. You may never fully grasp why you had to lose what you did or why you were delayed. But here's what I promise. Nothing was wasted. Not one tear. Not one waiting room. I was working beneath the surface. My final decision is this: you don't have to understand everything to live in peace. You just have to trust me. And that trust will carry you farther than answers ever could. You've spent so long in survival mode that you've forgotten what it feels like to live from a place of rest, not reaction. You became an expert in managing pain, adapting to disappointment, bracing for the next hit. You learned how to function without fullness, how to smile while silently bleeding. But I never meant for survival to be your permanent rhythm. It was a season, not a sentence. I allowed you to endure, not so that you would become numb, but so that you could be renewed. And now I am shifting the way you move. I'm transitioning you from defense to delight, from bracing for the worst to expecting my best. I'm not just bringing you out of the fire, I'm teaching you how to dance again, how to breathe without fear. I didn't rescue you from the storm just so you could walk in its memory. I brought you out so you could live again. Really live. Not by looking over your shoulder, but by trusting that the danger has passed, that the ground beneath you is firm, because I laid it. I'm teaching you how to live with open hands again, how to hope without hesitation, how to rest without fearing that something will fall apart the moment you exhale. The stillness will feel strange at first. The ease may feel suspicious, but give yourself permission to settle in. You're here by design. I built this season for you, not just to repair what was broken, but to awaken what's been buried. Your creativity, your joy, your vision, all of it is safe now. I'm bringing color back into your world, laughter back into your days. I'm going to show you what it means to thrive without pressure, to receive without guilt, to live from overflow, not exhaustion. My final decision is this: you will no longer just survive. You will live fully, freely, and fearlessly. And you will live without the invisible weight of expectation, trying to be strong enough, kind enough, holy enough. You've worn masks because you feared that if people saw your weariness, your questions, your weakness, they'd think less of you. You kept saying, "I'm fine," even when your silence was screaming for rest. I saw all of it. And now I want to speak to the part of you that feels like it always has to be on. The part that confuses being fruitful with being flawless. Child, I did not create you to live under the weight of performance. I created you for communion. I am unlearning the lie in you that your worth is tied to what you produce. You don't have to earn my affection. You don't have to impress me to remain chosen. I'm not moved by your output. I am moved by your heart. You are not a machine. You are not my project. You are my beloved. And I long for you to breathe again without guilt, to rest again without feeling lazy, to pause and not feel like you're falling behind. I want you to release the constant pressure to prove that you're enough. You already are, because I said so. You were never meant to carry more than your portion. You don't have to be everything for everyone. Let me be what you've tried to become. This next season will not be driven by pressure. It will be guided by peace. I'm going to show you how to build with balance, how to serve from overflow. Because I want your soul to be whole, not just your schedule to be full. You're not weak for needing rest. You're wise for receiving it. No more masks, no more pretending, just being with me. And in that being, you'll rediscover joy. Not the joy you've known in fleeting moments, fragile and unpredictable. Far too often, that joy didn't last. Circumstances changed, and joy became something you hoped for but feared to hold. But I never meant for joy to be that way for you. What I'm giving you now is different. It is not a joy based on what goes right. It's a joy rooted in who is with you. This joy isn't dependent on resolution. It's born of your relationship with me. When your joy is built on me, no loss can erase it. This joy doesn't ignore pain, it shines in it. It doesn't bypass grief, it sings through it. You've been waiting for life to stabilize so you could finally feel safe enough to rejoice. But child, joy isn't waiting for stability. Joy is waiting for surrender. It comes when your soul says, "Even now, I will trust him." That's what I'm anchoring inside you. A steady joy that holds even when everything else feels like it's falling. This isn't about pretending. I see the places where your heart still hurts. And still, I'm offering joy, not as a bandage, but as a banner. a declaration over your life that says, this story will not end in despair. Joy is a weapon. It's a refusal to let the enemy have the last word. You don't have to fake it, you just have to receive it. It will come like a quiet warmth, a whisper in your spirit, and as you welcome it, it will grow stronger. You'll find yourself laughing more freely. People will ask, how are you still smiling? And you will know. It's not because everything is perfect, it's because I am present. I'm not promising a life without hardship, but I am promising a heart anchored in joy that doesn't break when hardship comes. You will carry a light that trials can't extinguish. You no longer have to live with joy as a distant hope. You were made to dwell in it. I am clothing you now in garments of praise, trading your heaviness for a lightness rooted in divine truth. You are safe to feel joy again. My final decision is this: your joy will no longer be momentary. It will be your foundation, your anthem, your strength. And no storm will steal it again. You've lived under the weight of clocks and calendars, measuring progress by what hasn't happened yet, by how long it's taken. You began to believe you were behind, that you missed something, that you should have been further along. You looked around and asked, did I waste my moment? But today I am silencing that voice with truth. And here's the truth. I am not restricted by time. I redeem it. I am not comparing your journey to anyone else's. I'm not counting the years against you. I dwell in eternity, and I have stepped into your time, not to rush you, but to restore you. The years that felt silent, I was still shaping. The seasons that felt wasted, I've already written into something useful. Nothing is beyond my reach, not even time. And now I'm redeeming what you thought was too far gone. I'm returning moments that were stolen. But I am not simply giving them back as they were. I'm giving them back transformed, with new meaning, with deeper impact. What took others 1 year may take you 1 step. What seemed delayed will now be accelerated. I'm healing the anxiety that made you believe you always had to catch up. You didn't lose anything I can't restore. When I redeem, I don't rewind, I rebuild. Stronger, wiser. You're not behind, you're being aligned, and soon you'll walk into rooms and it will feel like everything is happening all at once. But you'll carry it differently. You'll know it wasn't about being early or late, it was about being in step with me. The world measures time in seconds, but I measure it in seasons and surrender. And you surrendered. You've waited when you could have walked away. You've trusted when you didn't understand, and now you're stepping into what I've been preparing. You'll no longer chase deadlines, you will follow my lead. I'm not in a hurry, but I'm not slow either. I am precise. I'm not just changing your circumstances, I'm changing your relationship with time itself. No more racing, no more regretting. It's time to live fully in the now. My final decision is this: you didn't miss it. You're not behind. You're right on time for what I've designed, and I'm redeeming every moment to prove it. You've waited long enough, thinking you still needed more time, more confirmation, more perfection before stepping into what I placed in your spirit. You've doubted your readiness. You've rehearsed the fears. What if I fail? What if I'm not enough? But I am telling you now, the time for hesitation is over. Not because every detail is figured out, but because I have prepared you through every trial, every tear, every quiet obedience. You are not who you were when this began. You have grown. You have been strengthened. And now I am calling you forward, not with pressure, but with purpose. You've been standing at the threshold, waiting for some external sign, when all along I've been whispering inside you, Move now, child. I'm with you. Your future is not an empty promise. It is a prepared place. I've already walked ahead of you. I've lined up divine connections. I've carved out provision. I've cleared out distractions. What matters most now is that you trust what I've placed inside you. The gifts I've given you weren't random. The dreams that won't die are still breathing because they were born of me. And now I am stirring you, not with pressure to perform, but with passion to pursue what I've assigned. It's not about being perfect, it's about being willing. It's not about never feeling afraid, it's about walking anyway. I am giving you a boldness now that doesn't come from hype, but from holy clarity. A boldness that speaks truth gently but unshakably. A boldness that serves without losing identity. A boldness that chooses purpose over popularity. I am not asking you to be loud. I am asking you to be light. To step forward knowing you are covered and equipped. Knowing you are not an imposter in the space I've called you to. You don't need to shrink. You don't need to hide. You don't need to keep asking if it's really your time. This isn't arrogance, it's alignment. You're not stepping forward to prove anything. You're stepping forward to obey. And in your obedience, I will do what only I can do. I will multiply your effort. I will open the right doors. I will silence the wrong voices. I will surround you with what you need. I will give you words when you feel empty. I will give you strength when you feel small. You are not walking alone. I am walking within you. The boldness I give doesn't rush. It moves with intention. It isn't reckless. It's rooted. Rooted in the truth of who I say you are. And that truth will carry you into rooms that once intimidated you. It will empower you to take steps that once felt too big. Because this time, you're not walking in your own name. You're walking in mine. So don't delay. Don't retreat. Don't hold back what I've refined. The process wasn't just to teach you. It was to transform you. And now the future you feared is becoming the promise you walk in. Not because everything around you says go, but because everything in me says it's time. You were made for this moment. My final decision is this. You are ready. Not someday, not eventually, now. And as you move, watch what I do through you, around you, and for you. Because this future has already been prepared. And now, so have you. Amen.